Arizona State football on Fox Sports Arizona is presented by State Farm. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. By Scottsdale Healthcare. Scottsdale Healthcare provides world-class patient care with the best physicians, latest technology, and compassionate staff. And by the USPS Priority Mail flat rate boxes, only from the Postal Service. A simpler way to ship.
And welcome back to Frank Bush Field at Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. ASU set to take on the Stanford Cardinal tonight. Jody Jackson with you on the sidelines, here to talk about part of the game that really doesn't get mentioned a lot unless things go wrong, special teams. And they've been a roller coaster this year for ASU. ASU has more kickoff return yardage than any team in the Pac-10, over 1,000 yards. But 2 blocked extra points have really cost them. One at Wisconsin and one last week at USC. Tonight, Jamie Christian, the special teams coach for ASU, says they'll put in offensive lineman John Hargis on that PAT unit to try to shore up the blocking there. But also, kicking's been a problem. Thomas Weber, the 2007 Lou Groza winner as a freshman. This year he is just 10 of 17. He has really struggled. Now, he rarely misses in practice. It's just something where he's got to take it out to the field. Dennis Erickson says that his misses this year have not affected his red zone strategy, but we'll see how that unfolds tonight, guys.
Jody, thank you so much. Certainly a nightmare last Saturday back home in Los Angeles for Thomas Weber. The block punt, he had to take over those duties for Trevor Hankins. The block point after and the missed field goal, but a lot of missed blocking assignments by his front line. Stanford coming in 8-1, 5-1 in the Pac-10, second place behind Oregon. Jim Harbaugh now in his 4th year, putting Stanford right back on the national radar, inheriting a 1-11 team. And after a convincing win over the Wildcats last week, he says, right now ASU is our biggest game of the season. ASU 4-5 under their head coach, Dennis Erickson. He's been a head coach for 28 years in college and the pros, but he says he's never been through a season like this. So much heartache, but still upbeat, saying the team is just an inch away from getting over the hump. And when we do, look out. ASU won the coin toss, and they will receive. Nate Whitaker gets it started here from downtown Tempe. It'll be Omar Bolden heading toward the sideline and runs out of room at the 27-yard line. And out will come the ASU offense, averaging 32 points per game. That is 4th in the Pac-10, and their starting quarterback, Stephen Threet, the redshirt junior from Michigan who transferred to Tempe from the University of Michigan, comes in completing 62% of his passes, 17 touchdowns. But Adam, we're going to keep an eye on the interceptions, 15 this season.
It is. It's all about interceptions and ball security. Stephen Threet leading the Pac-10 in passing yards, but not taking care of the football. They're going to have to take care tonight to beat this Stanford team.
Threet. He'll go to the reverse to Jamal Miles. Miles around the left side for a pickup of about 8 yards. Started with the halfback option pass last week against USC, and here with the reverse. Let's take a look at the starting lineups delivered by the UPS store. We begin with the offensive starters for ASU. Some big play talent at wide receiver. TJ Simpson has really come on. Their star tailback this season has been Cameron Marshall, along with the freshman DeAndre Lewis. Threet rolling to his right, fires incomplete. In and out of the hands of Mike Willie as we take a look at the starters for the Stanford defense. And Adam, this is really where they have improved. They had a great offense last year, but they bring in Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator, and they have a new killer instinct on defense.
They do. Vic Fangio, who spent a couple of years with the Baltimore Raiders, bringing that 34 style to the Stanford Cardinal. This is a big reason why they've been so consistent this season.
Fangio, 11 years a defensive coordinator in the NFL, and actually worked for Jim Harbaugh's brother, John Harbaugh, with the Baltimore Ravens. That pass is batted down, and it will set up a 4th down, and out will come the punting unit for the Devils, a 3-and-out on their first possession. And quickly out they come, led by Trevor Hankins, who was suspended last week by the team, did not punt, and that was why Thomas Weber was forced to do double duty as the kicker and the punter. Good punt by Hankins. And the return goes almost to midfield, and it was Drew Terrell, who actually hails here from Chandler, Arizona. Drew Terrell with the return, and Andrew Luck will set up shop right about midfield. Starting quarterback, Andrew Luck. Again, those numbers, those are Heisman-like numbers, and probably right now, Adam, he is top 4 in Heisman candidates.
He is in the top 4 in Heisman candidates. Probably won't get the consideration he needs because he's not going to be playing a primetime schedule in November.
The pro-style offense here with the Stanford Cardinal. Luck was the Pac-10 Player of the Week for his performance last week, a 42-17 victory over the Wildcats. Stephon Taylor is their leading rusher, and negative yardage on that first attempt by Taylor. Taken down by Junior Anyeli, the true freshman from Denver. Here are the offensive starters for the Stanford Cardinal. Delivered by the UPS store. They scored 68 points earlier this season on Wake Forest. Right now, number 5 in the country, 42 points per game. Second down for Luck and the Stanford offense with Taylor in the backfield. Play action. Flags all over the field. And the completion is made to Whalen at the 37-yard line. We'll check out the flags. Ryan Whalen, a senior from California, missed a couple of games earlier this season, making the grab, and we'll see now if it stands. It was an offsides on Cy Falahola, so the completion stands, and it'll be first down for Stanford.
This is the area in the field when the Stanford Cardinal like to cross the 50-yard line. That's when they want to take a shot, run a max protection route, single it up on the outside, and try and get a big score.
First and 10 for Luck from the 35-yard line. In motion is Marisic. Luck, plenty of time, fires, and it is complete. Catch is made by Griff Whalen and taken down by Osahan Irabor. And now the starters defensively for ASU. This is a battered unit, Adam. They actually did not have a lot of contact in practice this last week along the defensive line. They lost Shelly Lyons, who was one of their starting linebackers, and one of their top cornermen in Devron Carr goes out with another shoulder injury.
This is one of those games with a tough physical offense where you need everybody in the lineup.
First down from about the 24-yard line. First possession for Stanford, and the give is to Stewart. Another flag drops as Stewart plows his way toward the 20-yard line. They utilized 5 different running backs, Stanford did, last week in the first quarter against Arizona. And now I believe we have an injured Devil on the field. It is Colin Parker face down on the turf.
This is going to hurt the Sun Devils if Colin Parker has a serious injury. One of the things that defensive coordinator Craig Bray was worried about was the depth at linebacker with Shelly Lyons being out. This is going to be a huge blow to Arizona State if Colin Parker can't come back into the game.
Grabbing that left leg, and Parker will try to make his way to the sideline. Well, we got word right before the opening kickoff, Adam, that Stanford could be without Chris Owusu, a late scratch because of an injury. He's their big play threat as a receiver and their top return man.
He is their big play threat, and he has struggled with some injuries this entire season, already missing 3 games. He has been a spark plug. He had a monster game against Arizona last week, 9 catches for over 150 yards. They're going to miss him in this offense tonight.
First and 5 for the Cardinal. Luck with the full backfield. Jamar Jarrett there to wrap up Taylor. Jamar Jarrett has been one of the standouts at the defensive end position this year for Craig Bray, the defensive coordinator at ASU.
He has, and Jamar Jarrett makes great penetration, beats his block to make the tackle in the backfield. Arizona State has to have their defensive linemen active and penetrating to deal with this massive offensive front of Stanford.
A pair of Whalens split out wide right for Andrew Luck. Doug Baldwin split out left. Play action. but very mobile. I mentioned Adam is the second leading rusher on this team. The pass falls incomplete, looking for Ryan Whalen.
Excellent coverage right there on Brandon McGee. They tried to go with the play-action pass. Andrew Luck trying to break the pocket, but Brandon McGee was not fooled. Great coverage on his wide receiver and a nice pass breakup.
Well, this is where Stanford is so good. Number one in the country in third down efficiency. 3rd and 5. See if the ASU defense can make a stand. At least try to force a field goal attempt. Luck will go to the air. Step up, short pass. It's caught by Whalen. And it will be enough for another Stanford Cardinal first down. 14-yard gain on the reception. Stanford marching toward the end zone on their first possession.
And that's why they're so good on third downs. They get themselves in a manageable third down position on 1st and 2nd. It's easy to convert when it's 3rd and short.
Quickly back to the line of scrimmage. This time it's Gaffney. Finally wrapped up at the 3-yard line. Vontez Burfict with the stick for ASU. A lot of conversation about the very volatile Vontez Burfict, but his defensive coordinator Craig Bray saying over the past month, ever since that 1-quarter suspension against Washington and the headbutt in the previous game versus Oregon State, he has grown a ton. 2nd and goal. Give right up the middle. That is Marisic. And he's going to come up just a yard shy of the end zone. Wrestled down by James Brooks.
Here they are in another 3rd and short situation. And when Stanford gets in the tight red zone, they like to play with 6 or 7 linemen and just play smash mouth football. Right now, expect them to go right at the heart of the Arizona State defense.
The prior play is under further review.
Possibly going to see if he broke the plane of the end zone, of the goal line. Owen Marisic trying to plunge forward. And many people know the story of Marisic going both ways, offensively and defensively, as a fullback and linebacker, the 2 most punishing positions in the game.
They are, and you never hear of players being able to go both ways in college, but Marisic is an all-around great football player, and what his teammates love about him is his no-nonsense, come-to-work, blue-collar attitude. Not a lot of fanfare with this guy. He's a throwback and just a great teammate for that football team.
A senior from the Portland area, a guy that Jim Harbaugh, his head coach, calls the perfect football player. The only dual starter in major college football right now. And when they talk about his position, possibly going to the pros, more than likely to be a fullback.
After further review, the ruling on the play stands. 3rd down.
Well, Jim Harbaugh has the luxury of having 2 perfect football players, Owen Marisic and Andrew Luck. So it's quite a luxury for him to have on his team.
He really has turned around this program, and you and I spoke with him this past week about how he changed the culture. He said, I didn't really change the culture at Stanford, just changed the attitude of this team and the players. He's done a great job recruiting, bringing in solid talent. Now they jog out with a 3rd and goal situation. Marisic and Taylor in the backfield. They'll give it to Marisic. He plows in for 6. Stanford on the board first here from Sun Devil Stadium.
What we just saw was a typical Stanford drive, chipping down the field, getting into a 3rd down in short situation, and then down in the red zone, using that big offensive line to punish ASU's defensive line. This is why they've been so solid and so successful. They stick with the same formula week in and week out.
The 5th-year senior Nate Whitaker on for the point after. A very methodical drive by the Stanford offense. They are so good. 5th in the country, 42 points per game. They had 42 last week against the Arizona Wildcats, and they lead ASU 7-0. Methodical and efficient for Owen Marisic and the Stanford offense. 9 plays, 50 yards, a little over 4 minutes to take this 7-0 lead on the Devils. Back here with Adam Archuleta, the former Devil linebacker and NFL safety. You are also a volunteer coach working with the ASU safeties during training camp, so I know you have a keen insight into this ASU squad.
It was a good experience, and coaching wasn't something that I thought that I wanted to do, but so many rewarding facets. Not sure if I'm going to rule that out in the future.
Laquan Lewis on the return, and he takes it past the 20-yard line. Boy, we saw Laquan Lewis look like Carl Lewis last week in Los Angeles against USC. They only give you credit for a 100-yard return. He actually went about 103 yards. And the coaches, the special team coach, in particular Jamie Christian, saying they were all hoping he would take a knee in the end zone. But of course, when he made it to the end zone at the other end, they were very happy that he sprinted out.
Typical coaching.
Exactly. Cameron Marshall in the backfield. Little play action. And the sideline screen to Kerry Taylor. Kerry Taylor in his senior year. Another Chandler product. Saying this is a season that will define him as a Devil. He really made some big play catches for Stephen Threet in this offense at critical times throughout the course of this year. Threet again goes sideline and again goes to Kerry Taylor. Makes another grab. Those fans in the Bay Area probably know the story too of Kerry Taylor. His uncle John Taylor played for the San Francisco 49ers alongside Jerry Rice as a receiver.
And we're going to see a lot of this. Stephen Threet and that offense are going to count the box. If they see too many in the box, they're going to throw it out to the quick straight screen and try and get mismatches in space.
And right into the heart of the defense goes Cameron Marshall. Their leading rusher this season, a true sophomore coming from the San Jose area, picks up a dozen.
Once again, 5 men in the box, and the running game really has been coming on strong for Arizona State. They've been very pleased with their offensive line and their 2 young running backs.
The give again to Cameron Marshall, breaking free. All the way down to the 37-yard line. This time a 14-yard gain for Cameron Marshall. Taylor Scoffle on the stop.
The left side of the screen, Cameron Marshall with excellent vision, being patient, following his blocks. And that's what Arizona State wants to do, get the mismatch in numbers in the line of scrimmage.
7 rushing touchdowns this year for Cameron Marshall. They go to the sideline. That was TJ Simpson, who was coming off an ankle injury and surgery a couple years ago. And now he was one of the main targets for Threet.
Coming into this game, the key word for Noel Mazzoni, the offensive coordinator, was tempo. They want to get up, snap the ball, and not let this Stanford defense get a chance to rest.
In motion is Flugrad. Threet, quick hit over the middle. Jerome Robinson inside the 5. He has made some huge catches early in games.
Well, this quick-tempo, fast-paced offense is starting to confuse Stanford a little bit. The linebacker went out to the flat because it drew his eyes, and Jerome Robinson snuck right in behind.
A couple of touchdowns last week against USC. Keeping it, Stephen Threet. And the Devils with a chance to tie this game here in the first quarter. That no-huddle offense has been explosive for ASU this season. After Stanford scored first, right back come the Devils.
There you go. Stephen Threet putting the defensive end in a bind. He goes in to tackle the running back. Stephen Threet keeps the ball on the option. Great execution, and that drive is all about tempo. Stanford, the no-nonsense, blue-collar team. ASU, the quick strike.
And Thomas Weber knocks through the point after. Threet into the zone. We're deadlocked at 7.
Welcome back. ASU tied with Stanford, all knotted at 7 after a Stephen Threet 4-yard touchdown. Let's take a look at Arizona State's 2011 schedule. This just came out last week. Of course, it reflects the move to the Pac-12 and ASU in that South Division. So you see a couple of new teams that we will see each and every year at Utah, and then Colorado will pay a visit here to Sun Devil Stadium. So it's our weigh-in tonight. Our question for you, all you have to do is log on to Facebook, Twitter, or FoxSportsArizona.com. Share your thoughts. What do you think of the Sun Devils Pac-12 schedule for next season? The best comments will be revealed later in the broadcast, guys.
Thanks so much, Jody. So a new alignment next season. for the Pac-12. Manning wrapped up before he got to the 20-yard line. And Stanford without their top return man, Chris Owusu.
Chris Owusu is one of the best Pac-10 kick returners. And right there, once again, Laquan Lewis going down on special teams and making a great stop inside of the 20-yard line. He's had a great 3 games in his last 3 games as a Sun Devil.
And I think overall ASU has been pretty pleased with their special teams coverage. It's been the blocking on point afters and field goals that has really hurt this team. That point after blocked against Wisconsin, which would have tied the game. Luck, the empty backfield, fires it complete to Whalen. Taken down by Tayback and Colin Parker. Ryan Whalen, a former walk-on at Stanford, missed the game against Notre Dame and Oregon. He is one of the tri-captains on this Cardinal squad.
Andrew Luck so patient, and the one thing you're going to notice throughout this game is he's going to have a clean pocket. Those guys up front do an excellent job blocking for Andrew Luck.
Luck lofts one, and it falls incomplete. A late flag drops and could very well be interference on Brandon McGee. The intended receiver was Conrad Rulin.
ASU got lucky right there. There was a hard play action pass, and Andrew Luck had one of his wide receivers running right down the middle of the field naked. He just didn't see him, but that was a sure touchdown if he would have seen him and got the ball out there. ASU, even though drew the penalty, got a huge break right there.
Definitely a mix-up in the Devils' defensive secondary. So they'll mark it at the 27-yard line. And it'll be third and a little more than a yard. ASU coming off their 7-play drive. It went 74 yards, just over 2 minutes to tie this game at 7. Luck audibleizing. Stephon Taylor steps up. Luck on the move, almost fumbled it. A loss of a yard. And that'll be 4th down as he was taken down by Oliver Aaron.
Oliver Aaron with the tackle, but true freshman, Junior Onyeli had great penetration and got to Andrew Luck. Such an athletic play, and now you can see why this coaching staff is so high on the youngster. He has been a spark plug for this defense in the past 4 games, all over the football field.
Jamal Miles back to receive the Zaklinski punt. And ASU holds on Stanford's second possession. Drops and bounces out of bounds at the 40-yard line for Arizona State with 6:19 to go here in the first quarter. The ASU offense directing a very impressive score on their last possession. Now a chance to possibly take the lead here in the second quarter on Stanford, coming in number 6 in the BCS poll, number 7 in the AP, and 9 in the USA Today Coaches Poll as we check in with Jody.
We just saw, of course, ASU be able to pressure Andrew Luck and get that sack. How rare was that? Well, they've only given up 3 sacks this season coming into this game, 7 all of last year. And I talked to offensive line coach Jim Drevno. He said when he gets touched, I take it personally, they take it personally, they take pride, they want to protect number 12. Great leadership there from Chase Beeler. Andy Phillips making his 33rd start. He said the O-line room really runs itself. So obviously, really a feat for ASU to get to Andrew Luck. He has not been sacked very much over the last 2 seasons.
That's a great point, Jody. Those 3 sacks given up, second fewest in the nation. Screenplay to Cameron Marshall. Flag drops at the 45-yard line.
We may get a hold on the outside by Mike Willie. He is their most physical wide receiver, excellent blocker, but you can see right there how dangerous this offense is when they're able to get the ball in their best players' hands in space.
10-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That will negate the yardage on the screenplay to Cameron Marshall. ASU coming into this game 14th most penalized team in the country.
There you see Mike Willie get his arm on the backside of the defender's shoulder pads. All he has to do is try and keep that hand inside the frame of the shoulders, and he would have been okay.
They will push it back to the 35-yard line. Stanford, by the way, has not won here in Tempe since 1999. More flags, another stop in action. Dennis Erickson, again, familiar.
Dead ball. False start. Number 5 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Another miscue for the Devils, but Bay Area fans know that man well, too. Dennis Erickson, 2 years, was head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. That penalty was assessed to Kerry Taylor. And now it will be second down and 19 from the 30-yard line. Down the middle, pass is tipped and intercepted. Intercepted by Matt Walter. The defensive secondary for Stanford. Walter was there to catch the deflected pass, and Stanford will take over.
That interception was set up by the 2 previous penalties. Stephen Threet wants to go down the middle of the field. It was very good coverage by Stanford's nickelback. The tip ball, and Delano Howe right there for the interception. He's been a great playmaker for this Stanford defense, but the Sun Devils did not want to have to go deep right there. That was caused by the 2 penalties. Big momentum killers.
Yeah, that's right. That was Delano Howell with the interception. They have 2 number 26s on the Stanford team. Left the end around to Baldwin. Trying to capitalize on that turnover and taken down by Lawrence Guy. So it was Delano Howell, the strong safety, the junior from Newhall, California, one of the heavy hitters on this team and leading the squad in solo tackles. But he comes up with the pick, and it'll be 2nd and 5 now for the Cardinal.
Stanford trying a little bit of a razzle-dazzle right there, trying to get a big play, tricking the Sun Devils. But now you see they're still in a great position, 2nd and 5.
Fake handoff to Amanim. Luck is pressure and throws short. Again, good pressure from the defensive line of Arizona State. Luck feeling the heat here in the first quarter. Bo Moose was in pursuit, along with Jamar Jarrett.
That was excellent, excellent pressure. Arizona State has to be pleased with the amount of pressure they are getting on Andrew Luck, but you can see how much poise this young man has in the pocket to be able to escape that sack. This kid can do it all. A special, special quarterback.
3rd and 5. Stanford number 1 in the country. 3rd down conversions. Nearing the 4-minute mark here of the first. Plenty of time for Luck. Dumps it off to Amanim. He is drilled short of the first down. The stick made by Max Tabak, one of your proteges during training camp. You worked hand in hand with Tabak at times.
Stanford coming into this game, the best 3rd down team in the country, and Arizona State, the best 3rd down defense in the Pac-10. You can see right there, Andrew Luck couldn't find a wide receiver, and Arizona State did a great job of staying disciplined, playing their base defense, and getting off the field. 2 excellent drives in the row for this defense.
High spiral by Zaklinski. Fair catch made by Jamal Miles, but he mucks the punt. I believe Miles fell on it, so a break for ASU. Nearly turned it over deep in their own territory. ASU will have it when we come back from the 22, all tied at 7. We're going to have a special halftime here from Sun Devil Stadium as Pat Tillman will be honored 2 days after Veterans Day as he goes into the College Football Hall of Fame posthumously. The class of 2010, Adams' teammates and his family and friends here at Sun Devil Stadium. There will be a very special ceremony, so stick around on Fox Sports Arizona. Adam Archuleta was a teammate here with the Devils of Pat Tillman. You were actually his backup at linebacker for a season.
I was Pat's understudy, and he really is the reason why I came to ASU. great example. I took a lot of his play and put it into my style. Owe a lot of my career to Pat Tillman.
Another tip pass by Delano Howell. Almost had himself his second interception. Pat Tillman, the first Sun Devil named Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year, and then a couple years later, that award went to Adam Archuleta. How about that?
Well, like I said, Pat paved the way for me, and he made it known to the rest of the world that small linebackers could play this game.
It looked like a broken play for 3 who decided to keep it and lunges forward to the 25-yard line. Of course, Pat Tillman, too, grew up not too far from Palo Alto in the San Jose area. So, again, a very special ceremony at halftime here from Tempe. 3rd and 7. 3. Good protection in the pocket, and it's complete. But it's going to be short of first down yardage. Making the grab was Mike Willie. More punting than I think we expected, Adam, here in the first quarter.
Quite a bit, and especially from Stanford. They are known to really outscore their opponents. 155 points in the first half, to be exact. The Devils defense doing a great job trying to stop their offense, but ASU has to get some more momentum and take some time possession off the clock to give their defense some rest.
Heavy pressure on Hankins. Drew Terrell will let it drop and go out of bounds about the 43-yard line. The sophomore from Chandler Hamilton High School had a big return earlier here in the first quarter. Won a couple of state titles at Chandler Hamilton. And time to take a look at our text poll question, sponsored by Bank of America. Do you like the Pac-12? Everybody out there? Yes, no, or undecided. Text A, B, or C to 36929. Give the results a little bit later. What do you think of the Pac-12? Arizona will be in the Southern Division along with Arizona, USC, UCLA, and the 2 new schools, Utah and Colorado. 1st and 10 for Luck in the Stanford offense. To Taylor, Rams ahead near midfield. Stephon Taylor, who had 4 touchdowns last week in the victory over the Wildcats, a career high, as you might imagine. He has 832 yards rushing coming in, 11 touchdowns, averaging just about 5 yards a carry. Very explosive and strong sophomore from Mansfield, Texas. And some big cleats to fill. Stepping in for Toby Gerhardt. Again, they do it by committee in Stanford. With numerous talented backs. Wilkerson and Stewart, Amanum. 3rd and short for Stanford.
Well, their last 2 drives, this Stanford offense tried to open up their playbook and take the ball downfield with their passing attack. That didn't work, so they're going to get back to basics. The tough guy, smash-mouth football offense is coming back out on the field. They're going to have to try and get some consistency and some rhythm by doing what they do best.
2 tight ends, a full backfield, but a whistle.
Timeout. Arizona State.
ASU will call a timeout. Craig Bray saying he really needs to simplify
This will be a 30-second charge
the strategy
timeout.
Defensively. Stanford will bring in different players, and if you try to match up with them and substitute at the last minute, you'll be caught off guard. We saw that from U of A last week. There's 1 touchdown run by Stephon Taylor. It's about 3 or 4 Wildcat defenders who are trying to sprint onto the field.
Yeah, and Arizona is a very, very well-coached defense, and you can see that game plan just didn't work against the Cardinals. They had that defense confused. Guys were running on and off the field constantly. And Craig Bray said, look, we're going to have to play our base defense, match up with their base offense, and it's going to be mano-a-mano. The best man is going to win this game.
Well, FoxSportsArizona.com is now streaming live beginning tonight after the game. Log on for the post-game show and Coach Erickson's press conference. Then Thursday, ASU wrestling at 7 p.m. with women's volleyball on Friday at 7. And next Saturday is a doubleheader with men's basketball against UAB at 2 o'clock. 3rd and short, ramming it up the middle. That was Marisik. And was it enough for the first down? James Brooks and the ASU defense feel like they may have held Stanford.
This would be a big play.
And they did.
The defense is able to stop Stanford. It's evident that Stanford feels really good about their interior line matching up against ASU's defensive tackles. We've seen 3 fullback dives already in this game to Marisek.
Jim Harbaugh will go for it on 4th and short from the 46-yard line. Marisek and Taylor in the backfield. They'll give it to Taylor. And Taylor is not going to make it. Vontez Burfict and ASU with the stop. And the Devils will take over on downs.
This is a huge statement by this Arizona State defense. 3 straight times Stanford tried to power them into the ground to get the first down, but that defensive front just came through and stuffed that massive offensive line. This is a great, great confidence booster for this Arizona State defense.
And now let's see if ASU can turn it into points and play off that momentum. See the fire and passion of Vontez Burfict leading the charge. He leads the team in tackles. He's not had a sack, surprisingly, and there you have it officially. It'll be ASU possession. But I know you've had some conversations over the past couple of months with Vontez Burfict.
I have had some conversations with Vontez during my time during training camp, and I like the kid. He has such great tools to be a great football player. He has to grow up, and it's time for him to not make any more excuses about his play. They said they've seen some tremendous growth in the last 3 games. Hopefully he can continue so he can fulfill all of his potential.
And Adam, you know, he is a target now by other teams. He was baited numerous times against USC, some late hits, and he really held his ground, didn't react until the 4th quarter when he got a personal foul call at a very critical juncture in the game.
Yeah, and he built that house like Craig Gray, their defensive coordinator, said. But now he has to live with the consequences and rehabilitate his image in the Pac-10.
ASU looking strong here defensively and offensively, putting the score on the board to tie things up at 7 after the first from Sun Devil Stadium. Tom Leander back with Adam Archuleta. Before that 4th down stop, Adam, Stanford had gone 9 of 11 on 4th down conversions this season. And you take a look at Stanford and how dominant they have been this season in the first half, and in particular in the first quarter as well, outscoring their opponent by 155 points this year in the first half. The question for ASU coming in, would they survive the early onslaught? Playing even right now, have to be careful that that's not a lateral pass, as they swung it out to DeAndre Lewis, but an incompletion. This again is a Stanford team that has outscored their opponent by 87 points in the first quarter of the season. They led Oregon 21-3, but I guess Oregon kind of toys with every team this season.
Not many teams are in the class of Oregon that can put points on the board as quickly as that team.
Ooh, big hit. Another swing pass goes out to Jamal Miles. Flanked out wide and took a heavy pop. Delano Howell with the stick.
In this offense, you have to have the ability to block defensive backs when you are a wide receiver. Excellent blocking right there. Again, you see Mike Willie, their most physical wide receiver, get the key block needed to get that yardage.
That's the only blemish on the record of Stanford this season. That loss at Oregon to the #1 Ducks.
Timeout, Stanford.
After taking that 21-3 lead, Stanford was just taking a timeout. They were outscored 49-10 by the Oregon Ducks. Andrew Luck was picked off twice, and then the following week, Stanford needed a Nate Whitaker field goal with no time left to beat USC in Palo Alto. So they've had some close calls this season. That loss to Oregon coming in with all sorts of confidence as the number 16 in the BCS. Stephen Threet, who won the quarterback battle when you go back to training camp, beating out Brock Osweiler and Samson Sakachi, taking over the job as the redshirt junior, this up-tempo offense, and he has the upbeat, up-tempo personality, which really works for the offense here in Tempe. Quick screen over to Cameron Marshall, still on his feet, Cameron Marshall dragged down by Scove at the 16-yard line.
Just like we said earlier, Tom, getting them one-on-one matchups in space. Right there, the Stanford defense came with the blitz pressure, and ASU had the perfect play call. Cameron Marshall has just been exceptional in his last 3 games as a Sun Devil. 26-yard play for number 26. ASU in the red zone, where they have not been very efficient this season. They scored in the first quarter on a 3-4-yard touchdown run, and Cameron Marshall ahead to the 13-yard line as the flag drops. Prior to that play, 5 carries, 51 yards for Cameron Marshall here in the first half. And the penalty will go against Arizona State.
Holding, number 45 on the offense. 10-yard penalty.
Once again, the penalties for this team taking away some momentum. They had a really good thing going, and these are just drive killers. You hope that they can settle down, get some positive yardage, and try and get a first down, but you're fighting an uphill battle when you put yourself in this type of a situation.
Lewis and Marshall both in the backfield. They swing it over. The lateral pass to DeAndre Lewis. And the ball stripped away, but they're going to rule him down as he was taken down by Michael Thomas, the junior from Houston, maybe the most athletic of all the defensive backs with Stanford.
Jim Harbaugh is very happy with Michael Thomas, and he did an outstanding job of defeating the blocker at the point of attack and making a big tackle in open space. That's an excellent job by a defender, winning his one-on-one matchup and then making the play. Against a very speedy freshman from Norco, California, DeAndre Lewis, who had 3 touchdowns in his ASU debut. 2nd and long. 3. Screenplay, and I'm not sure who that was intended for. Flag does go down. Kerry Taylor was over there along with DeAndre Lewis as 3 wound up on his backside. And it looks like we're going to get a personal foul, roughing the passer penalty
number 44 on the defense.
On Chase Thomas. That is a big play for ASU's offense to get the first down after putting themselves in a terrible position with the holding call. Hits him right under the chin.
Very active linebacker, always hungry to hit, a little too hungry on that one. And it'll be a first down as ASU is back in the red zone. From the 13-yard line. Just under 13 minutes to go here in the second quarter. Not much on the ground for ASU. They have a very balanced attack as well. Talented running backs who average about 136 yards per game, and from the air with Stephen Threet, and we have a Cardinal down, grabbing his right leg. I believe it's Sione Fua. It's their senior from Encino.
This would be a huge blow and a big advantage to Arizona State's offense if he can't come back into the game.
Fua, who's one of the tri-captains on the team with Whalen and Marisic, and still down on the field. ASU will have it 2nd and 9. Fua pops up and will head toward the sideline.
Earlier in this season, Arizona State has had a difficult time trying to punch the football into the end zone when they get into this area of the field. But in the last 3 weeks, they have actually converted on 8 out of their last 11 red zone attempts. They have figured out a way to get the ball in the end zone. Playing a team like Stanford, they need 7 right here and not 3.
That's a great point. Vital possession. 3 over to the sideline, caught by TJ Simpson. Hurdles forward for the first down marker. The stick made by Michael Thomas.
ASU running a fake screen. The 2 wide receivers ran their defenders all the way into the end zone, and there was nobody to cover TJ Simpson. He had daylight to get to the end zone. An excellent play design. playing off of some of the trickery that they've done earlier on this season.
And another Cardinal is down. This time it's Josh Morrow. Head over heels goes TJ Simpson out of Peoria High School. But it has been a superb year for TJ Simpson. The Devils staff calling him the most consistent receiver on the team this year. That was actually Matthew Masafilo who was injured on the play. New defenders sprint on. Vic Fangio trying to create that chaos and confusion. First and goal. Nowhere to go on the ground. It'll be second down for Cameron Marshall, who was hit by Terrence Stevens.
We asked offensive coordinator Noel Mazzoni and Coach Erickson what the difference has been in the red zone in the last couple of games, and they simply told us they are running the same offense in the red zone that they do in the middle of the field. They don't change up.
Lugrad on the fly, rolling his feet, stepping up, has one rushing touchdown, almost two, but he loses it into the end zone. It is recovered by Stanford. A costly turnover, huge hit. Sherman and Stephen Threet. And another defender down for the Cardinal. It is Sherman.
The ruling on the field is the ball was fumbled in the end zone, touchback.
Oh, just a vicious hit applied. And so Stanford will have it. But they have a couple of talented DBs in Thomas and Richard Sherman. You talked about Sherman, who spent his first 3 years catching passes, now denying receivers of receptions. And he is helped to the sideline. We saw Morrow and Fua, and now it's Sherman's turn.
Not a good sign for the Stanford defense. And Sherman was a guy that not only was the ASU offensive staff impressed with, but ASU's defensive staff were very impressed with the kind of football that Sherman has been able to play on the corner. He is their best cover corner, a true shutdown man-to-man type guy.
He's need a medevac unit along the sideline for the Cardinal. Beat up here in the first half. Still tied up at 7. 2 short rushing touchdowns for each team in the first quarter. Luck to his left. And complete to Baldwin. Wrestled down, but not before Stanford picks up what appears to be another first down.
The hard thing when trying to defend this Stanford offense with Andrew Luck under center is he is so smart. He is able to put that team in the perfect position to have the advantage versus whatever the defense gives them. You can't outsmart this quarterback. He's too good.
I formation, Marisic and Taylor. Jumping off sides with Jamar Jarrett. Free play for the Cardinal. Luck lets it fly, and it's caught along the sidelines. It's Baldwin again. 16-yard gain. Part of the variety pack of receivers with the Stanford squad.
Andrew loves to spread this ball around, and that is the other difficult part when trying to defend this offense. There is nobody to key on. When you stack the box in the line of scrimmage, they're going to throw it out wide. And when you play coverage, they're going to run. He knows where everybody on the field is going to be. It's so hard to defend a guy like this.
It's just so hard to defend the Stanford offense. Baldwin is one of 16 different Stanford players to score this season. That's the most in the nation. And that's your poison. Who are you going to try to stop?
That's the point. You can't just try and shut down one aspect of this offense because they can do everything well.
Jeremy Stewart in the backfield now. Marisic in motion. Play action. The give is to Stewart. He rams ahead into ASU territory. Jeremy Stewart, the senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Go 5 deep with those running backs, and they have the scrambling mobile quarterback in Andrew Luck. The running game for Harbaugh and the Cardinal averaging 224 yards per game, 12th best in the nation. Their offense has been held in check. Stopped on a 4th down play near midfield by this ASU defense. holding the ground here at home. 2nd and 6. Street completes it. Still not enough for a first down as Brandon McGee. Luck making the pass, and it's the stop made by Brandon McGee.
There again, Brandon McGee making another excellent play in coverage tonight. This hasn't been his strong suit. Andrew Luck thinking that he has a mismatch with a wide receiver on a running back, but Andrew McGee doing an excellent job in coverage.
Andrew Luck in the Stanford offense. 3 of 5. 3rd down conversions, 3rd and 4. Here comes the pressure. Over the middle, it is complete to Whalen. Griff Whalen makes the catch and spins inside the 30.
That was an excellent catch. He was perfectly defended right there, but had the strength and the focus to keep his eyes on the football and come down with the catch and make the tackle. Excellent coverage by Eddie Elder, but Griff Whalen just doing a great job of not quitting through the play.
You're right, not much more you can do defensively. Eddie Elder, perfect there on the stop along with Eddie Elder. Elder has been a real playmaker defensively for ASU.
He has, and he's not happy with the play that happened right before. He was aggressive as he could be and just flew up to try and make amends for the mistake that he made in the previous play.
Luck now with 5 consecutive completions. 9 of 12 for 94 yards. Starting to find his rhythm. Throws a dart, it's complete. Bolden with a stop of Baldwin. Omar Bolden with the hit. Bolden has been really pleased with his season thus far. He did have that 66-yard interception. Returned it for the touchdown last week against USC, but he's been disappointed in himself this season.
He has. In having some conversations with Omar this week, he says that his main focus is to try and play at the same level when the competition isn't as fierce. He has to maintain a steady level of play. You just can't play big in the big games.
Look at all that movement on this 3rd down play. Stewart to the right of Luck. Good protection. The pass is batted up, but caught. The catch is made by Kobe Fleener. He was not the intended receiver. Tough break for the Devils.
That was a tough break. Excellent coverage right there by Aaron Oliver, and that's just the way the ball bounces. A big break for this Cardinal offense to move the chains yet again.
Fleener, one of the tight ends, along with Ruin. 1st and 10. Oh, powerful hit. The combination of Elder and Vontez Burfict. Lighting up Tyler Gaffney.
Stanford going to their bread and butter. The power. They're going to pull a guard, bring Owen Marisek in, but Vontez Burfict and Eddie Elder coming up to make the big hit in the hole. Craig Gray wanted to bring Eddie Elder into the game and start and bring him into the box. He is their most physical defender, their most physical safety. In the last 2 plays, he's been all over the place.
4 wide for Andrew Luck. Flanker screen is caught, but no gain for Jamal Rashad Patterson. Another tackle for Brandon McGee.
Brandon once again playing football very relentless. He is a tempo setter, and the coaches have been extremely happy with him this season. Once again, this guy runs to the football, never stops. He has a tremendous motor.
And remember, we told you at the outset, Stanford without their game breaker, receiver Chris Owusu, a scratch just before the start of this game. Another 3rd down situation for the Cardinal. Down goes Luck. Loses it. ASU pounces on it. Junior Onyeli with the recovery. The hit made by Oliver Aaron.
This defense is playing at a tremendous level right now. Andrew Luck, who only has been sacked 3 times coming into this game, already twice now in the first half alone. Junior already the first freshman in 26 years to be the Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Week. A great pass rush by Oliver Aaron. And Junior getting the fumble return. A great stop by this defense.
And Aaron is a terrific athlete out of Florida. Ad-libbing with Stephen Threet. A very unique toss, but it's complete to TJ Simpson. Held the ball high over his head and then made the connection.
Talking to some of the players and some of the coaches before the game, they said this team was very loose and very confident, and that's how they're playing right now.
They give up the middle to Cameron Marshall, and he is thrown down by Shane Scove. Scove, another one of these heavy hitters. He's a heat-seeking missile on defense.
He is, and Jim Harbaugh said that he is probably their best defensive player. Really well-rounded, can play the pass, has a relentless motor, really active in the running game.
Our quarterbacks go back-to-back with the fumbles. Catches made. The first, it was Threet who lost it in the end zone. Stanford recovered and then back the other way. The Cardinal looking to score, and Andrew Luck puts it on the turf.
Very, very uncharacteristic for Andrew Luck. A, to get pressure, B, to give up a sack, and C, to fumble the ball away.
Threet looking for the first down, but the ball goes through the hands of Terrell Robinson. And that'll set up 4th down, and out comes the punting unit. Unable to capitalize on that Andrew Luck fumble, and out will come Trevor Hankins. That was thrown behind Jarrell. That would have been a very difficult catch to make. Hankins averaging 47 yards per punt this year. Low line drive goes into the end zone. Flags fall as Terrell was back to receive, and we'll see what the penalty markers are about. 4:27 to go until halftime. Remember, stick around for that Pat Tillman ceremony going into the College Football Hall of Fame and honored here tonight down on Frank Cush Field.
Looked like it was either an illegal formation or lining up in the neutral zone.
So the conversation ongoing. And all the officials here. Our referee is Michael Batlin.
That would be a huge break if it was lining up in the neutral zone. That would give Arizona State a 1st down, and you could see why head coach Jim Harbaugh may have a little bit of concern.
It appears to be offsetting penalties, but he has to be concerned with the outcome of this first half, although
there are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal formation on the offset, on the offense, holding on the defense. Those penalties will offset, re-kick.
Hankins will do it again. But we spoke with Harbaugh this past week, and he said, you know, if you look at ASU, their close calls, those devastating losses, this is an ASU team that very well could be 7-2 right now. Maybe even 8-1 according to Harbaugh.
They very well could be, but the goal of playing football is to actually win. You can't be a team of almosts. And as much as you would love to have moral victories and be proud of the way you are competitive, nobody really cares at the end of the game. You have to be able to win.
Hankins, again, another low liner. Fielded by Terrell. Takes a couple of hits. Another flag drops, and dropped his Terrell at the 20-yard line. Plenty of penalties and markers on the turf here in the first half.
It's like either a block in the back or a hold.
During the return, illegal block in the back on the return team, number 24. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
We're all over it, Mr. Archuleta.
Timeout.
Well, when you look...
We'll take the break. Here late in the second quarter, still tied at 7. All season long, Champion Apparel will be showcasing the history and traditions of the Pac-10 tonight. We highlighted the ASU Sun Devils. Champion, it's how you play. Don't forget, stick around for the halftime festivities for Pat Tillman, who will be going into the College Football Hall of Fame. 6th Sun Devil player to make that distinction. The family and friends here. His widow Marie, his parents on hand at Sun Devil Stadium as Stanford will take over inside their own 10-yard line. They have only 9 yards rushing in the first half. Andrew Luck was perfect on that last drive, 8 of 8, until he coughed it up. Hand off to Stephon Taylor. Rush defense for ASU. Sensational here in the first half. The charge led by Cy Falahola.
Excellent job right there by Cy, coming off the block of the center. Stephon tried to cut it back, but this Arizona State defense playing aggressive and stuffing this run. Unbelievable that we would be sitting here at this point in the game and they would only have 9 rushing yards. Craig Gray has to be happy with his performance right now.
Averaging 25 points in the first half. They have never trailed at halftime of a game this season. Just 122 total yards for the number 5 offense in the country. Ruin makes the catch. He is torpedoed by Burfict. Conrad Rulin, 5th-year senior from Mission Viejo and a Mackey Award watch player coming into this season. One of the top tight ends in the nation.
Well, Andrew Luck wanted to go to the outside. He had a mismatch with the wide receiver, but being the pro that he is, comes back to the backside, sees that he has an open wide receiver, and makes a big throw.
How many times have we said this? 3rd down for Stanford. Complete. And it will be just enough for us. Stanford 1st down. Another tackle made by Brandon McGee. Came in 2nd on the team in tackles behind Vontez Burfict. Pair of players coming out of Centennial High School in Corona.
And that's what's so difficult to defend. Yet again, another 3rd and short. It drives defensive coordinators crazy because they don't know what defense to call.
Burfict on the blitz. They hand it off to Stephon Taylor, and he is chopped down by Oliver Aaron. Aaron and McGee, they have been everywhere, along with Vontez Burfict defensively.
They really have. Oliver Aaron staying home, not allowing the running back to get to the outside. That's how you set an edge to your defense. That's what Stanford was able to do to Arizona last week, get around the corner, but ASU playing disciplined defense.
Dennis Erickson, Craig Gray as defensive coordinator, they have to be thrilled with their defense in the first half. Play action for 3. Onyeli was there to pressure him. Luck gets it away. And it's caught by Baldwin. Andrew Luck going deep, pressured by Onyeli, but completes the 34-yard pass to Baldwin.
Talk about having poise in the pocket. This is what makes him so special. He has defenders draped all over him, never takes his eyes off the downfield wide receiver. Again, Arizona State has been plagued by the big play in the passing game. Miscommunication, assignment errors have been this defense's downfall. But Andrew Luck doing a tremendous job, never giving up and delivering a perfect downfield pass under pressure.
That was just a phenomenal play by Andrew Luck. The last 4 games, he has just gotten better through the course of this season. Amidst all that attention, and every game, he's been completing about 75% of his passes coming into this one. Catch is made by Whalen, and he is dragged down at the 20-yard line. ASU was assessed a sideline interference penalty. That's why they tacked on an extra 5 yards after the catch by Baldwin. We talked about that comparison to Peyton Manning. It was made by head coach Jim Harbaugh of Andrew Luck, saying that Luck is very similar to Peyton Manning at this age. Sliced down was Taylor. Oliver Aaron with another hit.
Oliver Aaron really is all over the football field, rushing the passer, making big plays in the running game, just doing a great job subbing for the injured Colin Parker.
Luck goes along the sidelines, and the catch is made by Kobe Fleener. Junior from Illinois, coming into this game with 20 receptions. We talk about how 16 different players have caught passes and made scores this season for Stanford as we are nearing the 30-second mark of the second quarter. Stanford trying to take the lead in a wild, unpredictable first half. Luck too high, looking for Ryan Whalen. Andrew Luck coming into this game 16-5 as a starter for Stanford. They will be forced to go for the field goal as they bring out Nate Whitaker. This season, Whitaker 13 of 14 field goal attempts. His only miss was from 40 yards. He is very reliable and accurate. Started as a walk-on at Notre Dame. And it will be a 34-yard attempt. The kick is up and no good. Wide right for Whitaker. Went over the top of the upright. They had to take a look at it, and they say no good, even though Jim Harbaugh thought it split the uprights.
Another great stand by this ASU defense. They could have been demoralized by that big play by Andrew Luck.
No good. ASU will take the knee and be content to head into the locker room, Adam, tied at 7.
ASU has to be extremely happy with where they're at this point in the game. They've completely stymied the Stanford rushing attack, and to come out with just 7 points given up. We knew they were going to come out fired up. We didn't know they were going to be this fired up.
Terrific defense by Arizona State, stuffing the run attack by Stanford in the first half. And again, the Cardinal coming in ranked number 6 in the BCS. Their only loss to number 1 Oregon. They have all they can handle tonight from the hometown ASU Sun Devils. Go back to that field goal attempt by Nate Whitaker. It was high and to the right, and this is not reviewable if it goes over the upright.
Ooh. Really hard to tell. We're splitting hairs to see if that ball went in or not. I would be pretty upset if I was Jim Harbaugh, but it was a close call.
And he was pretty upset. Also upset with the fact that Stanford has only 9 rushing yards in the first half. Stick around for our halftime show. Very special ceremony for Pat Tillman going into the College Football Hall of Fame. Tied up at 7, getting set to start the third quarter here from Tempe. Tom Leander back with Adam Archuleta, and 7 points on the board for the Cardinal. The number 5 offense in the country. When you look at the top 5, it's Oregon, Boise State, Oklahoma State, Nevada, and then Stanford. Wow, what a job by the ASU defense after the first 2 quarters.
They have to be absolutely pleased with what they've been able to do with this Stanford running game. The offensive line averaging 330 pounds. They average 223 yards per game. They have 214 to go if they want to try and match those type of numbers. Hats off to the ASU defensive line, but you have to play a complete game. It doesn't end at halftime.
By the way, if you're wondering, ASU's last win against a top 10 opponent, you have to go back to 2002 when they upended number 6 Oregon. They've lost 14 in a row to top 10 teams as we begin the second half. Remember, without Chris Owusu, out with an injury, and boy, they sorely miss him.
Just the way everything has been going today for Stanford, muffing a kick, now being pinned in their own territory. Another great start for ASU to start this second half.
They're going back to those numbers for Arizona State and how sweet it could be if they were able to pull off the upset. Since 2000 against top 20 teams, Adam, 3-28. Trying to negate those numbers here tonight against the number 6 Stanford Cardinal.
And they've been here before in this exact situation against great football teams. They're going to have to play to the final whistle. They can't give up now.
Screenplay to Baldwin. Breaks free. First down yardage. Chased out of bounds after a pickup of 13.
Excellent job by their fullback, Owen Marisic, getting outside on the perimeter and laying a thunderous block on Omar Bolden to spring that play for a big play.
Baldwin coming into this game, the leading receiver on the Stanford squad, 36 receptions, 6 touchdowns. Andrew Luck coming into the game with 22 touchdown passes, did not have one in the first half. They give us to Taylor. Rams ahead. Out past the 25-yard line, where he was stopped by Lawrence Guy.
Again, Stanford trying to go back to their bread and butter, the power O. That's when they pull a guard and bring the fullback to block. But ASU doing a great job. Junior Onyeli making a big penetration into the backfield, and Lawrence Guy not giving up, making the tackle.
Well, the numbers for Luck were very impressive passing-wise. 17 of 21 in the first half. Did not have an interception. He's only thrown 6 this season. Caught by Taylor and taken down by Cy Falahola, their senior out of Texas and one of the consistent anchors of the line.
They try and come back with the screen, but ASU playing disciplined football. Cy going and making the tackle, but James Brooks coming all the way from the other side, chasing it down from the backside, and now Stanford faced with a very, very rare 3rd and 8 to try and get the first down.
The two Whalens split out wide left for Luck. 4 receivers in this set. Steps up. Across the middle, falls incomplete. Looking for Griff Whalen, and it will be 4th down.
And Griff Whalen was actually open, just a simple comeback, tried to run a curl, but Andrew Luck, who has been really lights out with his accuracy so far tonight, couldn't get the ball to him.
Zaplinski. The punt to Jamal Miles. Miles has had some electrifying returns this season. It's high but short. Miles makes the catch and immediately stuck at the 40-yard line. One of the explosive players on this team is a running back and a returner. Nowhere to go for Jamal Miles early here in the 3rd. Time to take a look at our text poll question sponsored by Bank of America. Do y'all like the upcoming new Pac-12? That was the question posed. 50% like it. Stanford will be in the north, ASU in the south. They will not face each other next season in the regular season, unless, of course, they meet up in the Pac-12 title game to be held December 3rd on the home field of the team with the best overall conference record. Stephen Threet and the ASU offense back on the field. A fake to DeAndre Lewis. And a stretch pass to Jamal Miles. Here are the alignments, north and south, for the upcoming Pac-12. ASU, the Wildcats, the 2 new teams coming into the Pac, Colorado and Utah, along with the California schools, UCLA and USC. Then you have Cal, Oregon State and Oregon, Stanford, Washington State, and Washington in the north. Sideline screen and a big hit supplied by Michael Thomas on TJ Simpson.
ASU trying to continue to keep the tempo going in this game. Stanford's halftime adjustment was to go to a 3-3 alignment, 3 defensive linemen, 3 running backs, trying to get more guys in coverage to cover the ASU wide receivers.
Slant pattern looking for George Bell, and that falls incomplete. Threet was 11 of 17 with 1 interception in the first half. And it will wind up as a 4th down now, and here comes Hankins.
Stephen Threet once again trying to find the open lane, but Stanford has committed more players to try and take care of the passing game. We'll see what Arizona State's counter is going to be on their next series.
He was popped, Threet was, by Harold Bernard. Hankins, a low boot, fielded by Terrell. Drew Terrell from Chandler, Arizona, cuts upfield. And chopped down at the 32.
It's about the third time that punter Trevor Hankins has had a low line drive punt. Those are extremely dangerous because it doesn't give your coverage the opportunity to go down the field and field their coverage lanes. Low line drive punt, fielded early. You notice nobody is down the field for ASU. The bulk of their coverage lanes are just starting to show up. Very dangerous to be in that type of a position.
Luck back to pass. To his right, and it's caught. A leaping catch by Whalen. Started as a walk-on and a leading receiver over the past 2 years at Stanford. With Ryan Whalen. I mentioned they also have Griff Whalen, number 17, but no relation between the two.
And Ryan Whalen really has been the most consistent wide receiver for the Stanford football team. A good possession receiver, really isn't going to stretch the field, but they know where he's going to be, and they can count on him.
2nd and 3. They've sidestepped the running game. They go back to the air, and solid defense from Omar Bolden in coverage.
Omar Bolden doing a great job on the outside. Andrew Luck saw the single coverage, and Omar does a great job using his confidence, anticipating, and playing tight to the hip. Good job by Omar Bolden, playing confidently and making a decision.
And playing healthy, that's the most important part for Omar Bolden. Played only 4 games last year, had a knee injury, but was granted his redshirt year, so he is still a junior eligibility-wise. 3rd and 3. Stanford 5 of 11 on 3rd down conversions. Caught over the middle, and it's Rulin. And that'll be good for the Stanford 1st down.
This is why it's so easy to convert on 3rd down. They bring a wide receiver underneath to draw the coverage of the linebackers and able to just sit right there in the zone for an easy toss and catch. Good job by Stanford's offense designing a 3rd down play to move the chains.
Now 50% on 3rd down conversions tonight, 6 of 12 for Andrew Luck. A couple of smart guy quarterbacks here tonight. Makes the connection to Baldwin, still on his feet. Cuts back and down at the 41-yard line. But both Andrew Luck and Stephen Threet, Adam, were valedictorians of their respective high schools.
It helps to have brains when you want to try and play quarterback. It's a tough position, very different style of offenses, but they both put tremendous pressure on their quarterback to make reads and know what's going on the football field.
We started by talking about Andrew Luck being a Heisman candidate along with players like Cam Newton, Michael James, and Kellen Moore. Now Luck wide left as they snap it to Alex Lucas, their backup quarterback. A little razzle-dazzle from the Stanford offense. Their offensive coordinator, David Shaw, who's been orchestrating this record-shattering offense. He's a former Stanford receiver and came up with that play.
Taking a page from the Wildcat book, and Stanford does a great job of getting their offensive linemen out on the perimeter, cutting off the heart of the defense. Arizona State was probably caught off guard by that Wildcat option.
Pickup of 9. 9:20 to go here in the 3rd. Only scoring has come in the 1st quarter. Zach Ertz in motion. Give up ahead is to Stephon Taylor. Not much room to run all night. The stop made by James Brooks, a junior from Flagstaff, coming into this game with 3 sacks. And Dennis Erickson saying that he needed the size and the speed of James Brooks, along with Jamar Jarrett on the edge against that very big offensive line of Stanford that you just talked about.
They needed these guys, and they weren't sure that they were going to have a healthy D-line coming into this game. James Brooks was a late addition to subtraction to come off the injury report, but they have been doing a great job playing as a unit and playing hard.
Manham was initially in the backfield, split out wide. Back they go to Baldwin. And he is wrapped up and taken down by Laquan Lewis. And a few friendly words between Lewis and Baldwin. We've seen Laquan Lewis returning kicks. He's been a standout on special teams and forced to play some corner as well because of the injury to Devron Carr, one of the top cornermen on the ASU team coming into this season along with Omar Bolden. And with a healthy Devron Carr along with Omar Bolden, that would allow Craig Gray and the defense to blitz more, to show different packages, but more conservative, concerned with coverage. But it has been very effective, that basic scheme tonight. Amana. Shoestring tackle by Vontez Burfict.
Vontez making a big impact. He's having a tremendous game tonight. The thing that he does so well is attack the line of scrimmage. Tremendous instincts. He doesn't go side to side. He's downhill when this guy is playing. And when his mind's into it, he is a force for any offense to have to contend with.
We talked about Craig Gray's comment too about, hey, Vontez, you built the house, now you have to live in it. But you can also rebuild a new one.
It does take some time, and he is in the process of going forward.
Dealing with a lot of personal fouls this season. Been in control so far in this one. Lofting it toward the end zone, and Whalen too deep.
Excellent coverage on the outside. So Arizona State again trying to get some good pressure on Andrew Luck. But Laquan Lewis on the outside doing a great job in coverage, and the pressure on Luck, what made him not able to put the ball where it needed to be. Another big stop in the red zone for Arizona State's defense.
44-yard attempt by Nate Whitaker. He missed that field goal to end the first half, just his second miss of the season. Had 5 field goals earlier this season against his former team, Notre Dame, and he is good to go with the three-pointer and a 3-point lead for the Cardinal here in the third quarter. Whitaker giving Harbaugh Stanford the lead. 10-7 Stanford, 10 plays, 41 yards, capped off by a 44-yard field goal by that man, Nate Whitaker. Tom Lehner back with Adam Archuleta. And Adam, I'll be hopping on a plane tomorrow morning, heading for Los Angeles, where the Suns will take on the Lakers.
Pulling double duty this week, huh?
And we saw Josh Childress here at the game for the coin flip. Childress, who now plays for the Phoenix Suns, after spending a couple years in Greece. He was out there with his Stanford team because he was an All-American with the Cardinal a few years back. It didn't work. He wasn't the lucky charm because Stanford did not win that coin toss. Whitaker into the end zone, and bringing it out is Alden Darby, and Darby takes a shot at the 24-yard line. We haven't seen Alden Darby returning kicks this season. He tried to pull Laquan Lewis, where he was 3 or 4 yards deep into the end zone. I think his teammates were telling him to take a knee, and now Jamie Christian he's saying the same thing.
Well, Alden Darby is an excellent young freshman. The coaches are trying to find a way to get this guy on the field. Had a little bit of a problem figuring out what position he was going to play, whether it was corner, whether it was safety. A guy like this, you know, he wants to make something happen when he gets into the game.
Read on the play action. Diving catch made by Aaron Pflugrad. The transfer from Oregon, 17-yard hookup.
Stanford went to a man-to-man defense, trying to take away Stephen Threet's passing attack. Stephen Threet, an excellent job of staring right in the face of the pass rush. Aaron Pflugrad right across the middle of the field with a great grab.
Threet now over 2,500 yards passing on the season. ASU lost the handle, but they fall on it and maintain possession. It was recovered by Mike Marcise. Johnny on the spot. Guy who's had surgeries on both shoulders. Part of a very strong Arizona State offensive line. It's been patchwork for Greg Smith and the line, losing 3 starters before the season. Cameron Marshall out into the open. Finally down deep into Stanford territory. Submarine by Taylor Stoffel.
Well, we talked about Stanford opening up the second half by going to a 3-3 defense. Only 6 people in the box, and Arizona State knew they had to run the ball. There was a huge seam for Cameron Marshall to get running lanes, and a great play and a great run by Cameron Marshall.
Well, they go back to Marshall after that 45-yard run. He is so solid. Strong and fast, the full package with that speed and power. He had the hurdle last week at USC against the Trojans. You know, so did Vontaze Burfict. They both had impressive hurdles.
They did, and they've been really happy with Cameron Marshall. He had an excellent game, a very good all-around back, physical runner, but as you can see, he can't hit the home run ball.
For the 3rd straight time, they go back to Cameron Marshall inside the 10-yard line. ASU flirting with their 2nd touchdown, possibly, of the game. Michael Thomas with the stop for Stanford.
Well, Noah Mazzoni once again taking advantage of the mismatch that they have in the box. Stanford has too many defensive backs down the field, and if they continue to play that way, we're going to continue to see Cameron Marshall.
Marshall goes out. In comes DeAndre Lewis in this Noel huddle offense with Noel Mazzoni over the middle. Touchdown to Kerry Taylor. ASU takes the lead. Third touchdown of the season for Kerry Taylor, the senior from Chandler Hamilton High School.
The quick tempo, quick strike offense, and Noel Mazzoni completely caught defensive coordinator Vic Fangio off guard. Did a great job of mixing up the play calling, and a beautiful drive executed by Stephen Threet to Kerry Taylor for the touchdown.
But the frazzled Thomas Weber misses the point after, so ASU will have to settle for the 3-point lead. Stephen Threet whips it, and whips it good to Kerry Taylor.
They in the stands right now.
Kerry Taylor with his 100th career catch, but ASU is hoping that the missed point after by Thomas Weber does not come back to haunt them. Thomas Weber, who's battled injuries last year, this year battling mental demons, and he wishes he could turn back the clock at him to his freshman year when he won the Groza Award, missing only 1 field goal. The first freshman to win the Lou Groza Award.
Well, now it's all about being mental, and he's lost complete confidence in himself. This is a chip shot. He had a chip shot last week, and now he's concentrating on all of the negative things that can happen instead of going out there and doing what he does best, and that's make kicks. He's done it before. He's won the award. He knows what he can do. You can't focus on the negativity.
A Manum is turned back on that return by ASU special teams. They have to keep talking about what if for Stanford. What if they had Chris Owusu, one of the top return men in the country? Keelan Johnson, part of that special teams coverage. Well, if you look at the rushing right now for Stanford as a team, 21 yards. Cameron Marshall out of San Jose has 72 himself for the Devils. Luck out of the pocket, a heavy hit. It's McGee, and then Laquan Lewis laying a pop on Stephon Taylor.
The Sun Devil defense is not letting up one bit. They are continuing to harass Andrew Luck in the pocket. I haven't seen him under this much duress the entire season. And their linebackers, Brandon McGee, once again all over the field, making plays, swarming to the football. They need to keep up this intensity for the entire game.
Craig Bray, ASU, the defensive coordinator, talking about Andrew Luck, saying he is so poised, he never panics. Pressured again, goes to Rulin, and wrestled down by Colin Parker. Colin Parker, who has seen some action as a starting linebacker for the Devils this season, had 10 tackles in a game in Seattle against the Huskies in that very rainy yet sweet victory for ASU. We started off talking about the Devils and their close calls. 3 of their losses this season by 5 points. Lost by 1 to Wisconsin, and last week to USC. Lost by 3 to Oregon State. The only clunker this season came at Cal. They have been competitive in all the rest. They even led the Oregon Ducks by 10. Luck steps up over the middle to Marisik. The two-way player making the grab.
Well, this shows you how much confidence Stanford has in their running game. If you go back over the course of this entire season, that would have been an automatic run. But now you see them pass on 3rd and short. Good job by Andrew Luck staying patient in the pocket, and Marisek leaking out for the first down.
Doing it as a linebacker and a fullback. Go back to their game against Notre Dame. Marisik scored 2 touchdowns within 12 seconds. 1 on a run and then on an interception return for a touchdown. Still trying to work it on the ground this time to the true freshman Anthony Wilkerson.
Looks like Vontez Burfict is shaken up, slow to get up right now.
2nd and 5. Full backfield behind Luck. They give it to Wilkerson, trying to cut back. And down he goes at the 46-yard line. Burfict was in on the play. Now they have number 41 out there, and Burfict again slow to get up. But I believe that was McGillicuddy. They have a huge monster of a man in McGillicuddy who plays some offensive line and tight end. You see a lot of motion, and normally when he's on the field, Stanford is running right behind him.
Again, the depth of Arizona State's linebackers are starting to come into play. Already down a linebacker in Colin Parker. They can't afford for Vontez to be out right now. They said earlier in the week, Gerald Munns, Vontez's backup, was barely able to walk, barely able to practice. So they are hurting right now. They really need somebody to step up and take over for the injuries that they've suffered.
Really playing with undersized linebackers when you talk about Oliver Aaron and Colin Parker. And it will be 4th down. ASU's defense standing tall again. Stanford averaging 42 points per game, still with only 10 tonight, and upcoming 4th down.
Excellent penetration, getting into the backfield. No running room whatsoever for this Stanford Cardinal running game. Just another tremendous job by ASU's defensive front to continue to help out this linebacker crew and secondary play this Cardinal offense.
And their quarterback, Stephen Threet, relishing the performance of his Arizona State defense. Aaron Pflugrad back to receive now. The punt from Zaklinski. At least you assume he's punting, and he does. High and short, a fair catch being made by Pflugrad. The sure hands of Pflugrad. He's usually back there on the returns when they're up against their own goal line for that exact reason.
Sure-handed guy. He is the wide receiver in this offense that they really want to get the ball to in 3rd down. Very disciplined, very quick in and out of his cuts, and he is sure-handed.
Devils back on their home turf. They've been missing Tempe. This is only their 2nd home game in the last 7 weeks. They destroyed Washington State here 2 weeks ago. And right now leading number 6 Stanford by 3. Final minute of the 3rd quarter. Sliced down is DeAndre Lewis by Scoffel.
Stanford went back to their base defense, the defense that they opened up the game with, because they are sick of seeing Cameron Marshall in that Arizona State running game. That was an excellent, excellent open field tackle by Scoffel.
Marshall back out there for DeAndre Lewis, who had his breakout game early in the season against Wisconsin, and he ran for 122 yards. Most of the damage on the ground tonight for ASU has been courtesy of Cameron Marshall. That pass came up way short. I don't know if it slipped out of the hands of Threet with 17 seconds to go. Threet, the perfect quarterback for Noel Mazzoni. Dennis Erickson calls him the mad scientist with his no-huddle up-tempo offense. Threet, 14 of 22, 147 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception, which was a deflected pass, wound up in the hands of Howell. 3rd and long. 3. Flushed out of the pocket. Finds Willie, and he dives ahead. Now let's see where they mark it. It's going to be very close to that first down marker. Might have come up just a little bit shy. Willie second on the team in receptions. 4 touchdowns coming into this game against Stanford, and the spot will be right at, looks like the 30-yard line, so ASU will be about a half a yard short, maybe a full yard.
That was one of the rare times that the Stanford defense brought pressure. They brought 2 off of Stephen Threet's left side of the formation. He did a good job of staying poised in the pocket and finding Mike Willie. It looked like Mike Willie hesitated a little bit. He could have probably got the first down.
Adam Archuleta, who would have thought ASU would take a 3-point lead into the 4th quarter on Stanford? Stick around here on Fox Sports Arizona.
And welcome back. During halftime, Derek Rogers accepting the plaque that will reside here in Tempe as Pat Tillman will be inducted posthumously into the College Football Hall of Fame in December. Jody Jackson back on the sideline here as we start the 4th quarter. And Derek, you're one of about 40 guys to come back. You played with Pat Tillman. What did it mean for you to accept that award, honoring him tonight?
It's definitely a big deal for me. I haven't been back here in over 13 years, and I never really had a chance to participate in any of the posthumous things for Pat Tillman. And we're brothers, and I lost a brother, and it felt really good for me to participate in tonight's event.
What did it mean to play on Saturdays with Pat Tillman? What kind of player was he?
It was great. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know exactly how to put it into words, but we had such a great unit of guys that it's something that you'll never forget. And I've always told everybody that it was my best year of football. I don't think that I ever have a football that felt that way.
No question the way that you played the win over Nebraska going to the Rose Bowl. And then I want to ask you, because you shared so many things in common with Pat. One of them is that you served in the Air Force before starting your football career here at ASU. Were you surprised at all that Pat went into the service? Because you guys had talked about that, right?
Right. I basically he asked me a question about the military because he found out that I was in the service. And when he went, to me, that was just Pat. You know, I understood, why he did what he did. And some people just have different values in their life. And he stayed true to his values. And I really appreciate people like that. It's hard to find people of that character and that nature. And Pat was just a great guy.
Thank you so much, Derek, and enjoy your time here with your Devils.
Thank you.
Guys, back up to you.
Thanks, Jody. Wonderful words from Derek Rogers. That screenplay was snuffed out by ASU. When you look at time of possession, Adam, over 30 minutes for Stanford. ASU under 15. But it's the Devils with the 3-point lead and hoping that Thomas Weber missed point after does not loom large. Up ahead goes Stephon Taylor, player who had 4 touchdowns last week against the Arizona Wildcats. Had a run of 5 straight games with 100 or more yards, which actually ended, ironically, against U of A despite the 4 touchdowns.
Well, on first down, Vontez had done an excellent job of defeating the screen and making the tackle for a loss. So right there, he had the running back dead to rights in the hold and had a crushing block by their right tackle. It was a great job to spring Stephon Taylor for a big game.
And one of the few big games by a Stanford running back. 12 carries, 26 yards for Taylor so far. Sidesteps Colin Parker and lunges ahead into ASU territory.
Andrew Luck again doing a great job of just knowing where all of his wide receivers are. That time he went to his 3rd option, a crosser all the way on the other side of the field. Just a hard guy to defend. When he doesn't panic, he has patience and knows where everybody on the football field is.
Stanford right now 2nd in the Pac-10 behind Oregon, and Oregon with a slight lead in the 3rd quarter on Cal, 15-7. Tight one for the number 1 Ducks. Up ahead, Wilkerson. James Brooks with the tackle. We talked to head coach Dennis Erickson this past week about the mood of the team after some of the heartbreaking losses as Phillips pops up for Stanford. And he actually said, and I found this interesting, that ASU has so many young kids that they know they're getting better. But if ASU right now had a bunch of seniors and they only have 13, fewest in the Pac-10, it would be totally different. this group of youngsters is staying positive. You can see the results tonight.
Well, he has a point, but let's not forget that they are in their 10th game. So to say they are still young is not really doing it any justice. They have to be able to turn the corner. We've seen this situation time and time again, going toe-to-toe with a giant, somebody that should have dominated them because of their record, but can they finish? Do they have the heart? Do they have what it takes to be disciplined, do the little things, and take this game home? Multiple injuries for Stanford here in Tempe as Phillips went to the bench, the fifth-year senior. Andrew Luck showing his mobility all the way to the 28-yard line for a pickup of 18 yards. He's had a couple of long touchdown runs, one of 51 yards and another of 52. And ASU had pressure, and they had the opportunity to get this guy down, but he is just such a tremendous athlete, using his feet, not going down. He's so strong. He sees the entire field, and this guy, once again, really the complete quarterback, everything that you could ever want. 22 passing touchdowns coming into the game. The Stanford school record is 27 by John Elway, but he does it with his feet. Luck to his left, fires a dangerous pass, and it's intercepted by Eddie Elder. Elder still on his feet all the way to the 35-yard line. There is a flag down, but if it stands, it's only the 7th interception of the season for Andrew Luck. And it will stand.
That penalty is declined. First down.
You're going to see Eddie Elder doing an unbelievable job reading Andrew Luck's eyes and jumping the route. I talked to Eddie earlier this week, and he said the thing that he needs to do to turn the corner is to have confidence in himself. To when he sees something, to jump it, shoot his gun, and make the play. That's exactly what he did right there. He read Andrew Luck perfectly and made a huge play for this defense.
A high-energy defensive player, Eddie Elder, the transfer from San Mateo College. He comes out of Sacramento. And here comes ASU offensively with Cameron Marshall barreling ahead. You can see the confidence steaming from their helmets.
ASU trying to attack Stanford in the running game that time. Cameron Marshall got to the corner, and then his speed just kicked in.
Back over to Cameron Marshall. Built like a granite countertop. His dad's a personal trainer who inspired Cameron ever since the 4th grade to work out. He has worked out with that physique.
This guy, when you see him up close and personal, he has some tree trunks for legs.
He looks like an action hero. Back over to Cameron Marshall, a busy man to the 44. Just had another update on that Oregon game. Cal has scored again. It's 15-13 with about 7 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Ducks leading Cal by only 2. And a shocker going on right now here in the 4th quarter in Tempe. Great. Fires it, looking for Kerry Taylor. And luckily for ASU, falls harmlessly incomplete.
That was a dangerous pass, and Stephen Threet was under heavy duress. Never want to see a ball get tipped like that. Chase Thomas just does a great job getting a great inside pass rush to get to Stephen Threet's face and force the errant pass.
Hankins was suspended last week for the game against USC. End over end to Terrell, and he'll make the grab at the 15-yard line, and that's where Stanford will take over, trailing by 3 with 10:36 to go here in the 4th quarter. Dennis Erickson saying this past week that ASU would need their best effort of the year because physically Stanford will beat you down, they will wear you down. We'll see what happens here in the 4th quarter. They give it to Taylor, and not much there. ASU's defense has been stacking up the run game for the Cardinal all night long.
They really have. have. It's been very impressive to watch this group, especially with how they've been beat up this entire week. They didn't even have contact in their practices. That's how much health was a concern. But they are going toe-to-toe. A big physical offensive line.
There you see the rushing yards. Only 64 tonight so far. 5 minutes into this fourth quarter. Luck lets it fly. Heavy hit by Laquan Lewis, but the catch was made by Baldwin. I found it so interesting, too, in talking to defensive coordinator Craig Bray, that, ASU coming into the season had high hopes for their defense. But Bray said, I think everybody miscalculated the loss of some of their key defenders and leaders, Mike Nixon and Travis Gaethel, Dexter Davis. Those are players that could adjust on the fly. This group is so young, it has talents, but really the instincts haven't been there on a consistent basis.
That has been the problem, so that's why they've gone to more of a vanilla approach, and so far tonight it's working brilliantly.
3rd and 1. Luck. His pass is complete for the first down. Perfect with the first hit, and then finished off by Guy. That was the safety valve. Taylor, nothing else was open for Andrew Luck, but it will be enough for that Stanford first down.
That was another fine job by Andrew Luck, not getting his first or his second read, knowing where his check down was and getting him the ball to help move the chains and keep going in this drive.
Last season in Palo Alto, the Cardinal over ASU 33-14, a dominant win. They led by 24 points at halftime. Here, a different story. Luck. Good protection. Intercepted again. It's Eddie Elder once again. A flag is down. And we'll see if the interception stands for Eddie Elder.
Maybe a defensive holding call.
It sure appears that way.
On the defense against an eligible receiver. 10 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
See, they're trying to run a crossing route to the other side of the field. Eddie Elder, great instincts, reading Andrew Luck all the way. Steps in front of the ball. Too bad for this defense. It's not going to count.
That pass was intended for Fleener. You can really see the contact on that replay. 6th penalty against ASU tonight for 45 yards. 1st and 10. In the eye, Wilkerson puts his head down and goes to the 44-yard line. Anthony Wilkerson, true freshman from Foothill Ranch, California. Very explosive and strong runner. 6'1", 220. He was Orange County's running back of the decade. 79 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons in high school. 79, that is the touchdown maker. 2nd and 4. Back to Wilkerson. And he'll come up about a yard shy, maybe 2, of that first down marker.
Stanford is the type of football team that loves to run repeat plays. When they have success with the play, they're going to keep going to it over and over and over again. On first down, they get 6 yards, right back with the same exact play. I wouldn't be surprised if they ran it 3 times in a row.
Number 1 in the country in third down efficiency coming in, and they've had plenty of practice tonight against the Devil defense. So many third down situations, needing a yard for the first. Marisic at the fullback slot. Wilkerson in the backfield. Play action. Luck was pressured, but still makes the throw. Caught by Rulin for the first down. James Brooks was in pursuit of Andrew Luck, and there you see his poise.
Well, this is what we call a tendency buster. They motion everybody on the left side of the line of scrimmage, went unbalanced, took advantage of Arizona State being undisciplined, and hit the backside play-action pass.
And then they go to the hurry-up offense, the handoff to Wilkerson. Changing the pace, going from huddle to no huddle.
Overloaded the left side of the line of scrimmage, and then the tight end just sneaks out. As a defensive player, you have to be disciplined. You have to get your eyes on your target and do your job.
Laquan Lewis with his back turn. He bats it away, and that would have led to a 4th down situation. Instead, 2nd and 5. Seconds ticking here in the 4th. Stanford on the move. Pocket protection, plenty of time. Catch is made. Everybody taking a swack at Baldwin, and the flag will go down. And another one drops. There's a couple slaps to the head. And a frustrated Vontaze Burfict right now. Maybe looking somewhat guilty.
This is the area of the game that has always been a problem for Vontaze late in the game. Last week against USC had the huge personal foul penalty.
Number 7 on the defense. Half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
And once again, penalties getting Stanford's offense off of the hook. This is a couple of times now that ASU...
That was not the face mask, Adam. That was not a face mask.
No, it was not a face mask.
Caught him on the collar.
What a terrible, terrible call. That is a huge call, changing the outcome of the game.
Yeah, maybe you're talking reputation.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 7
That's
on the
one of the
defense.
things
Oh, no, and then unsportsmanlike conduct to make matters even worse. Had that penalty in the 4th quarter at USC. That one should not have been flagged. But then the outrage from Vontaze Burfict and the unsportsmanlike flag dropped. Boy, and now Stanford right on the doorstep at the 7-yard line. Just unable to contain those emotions when things go against it. Give this to Taylor, up the middle, met by Elder, and gets to the 1-yard line. Big stick by Eddie Elder, but a strong run, setting up Stanford right at the 1-yard line.
It's the same play they've been running the entire night. There you go. Earlier on the penalty on Vontaze Burfict, the bad face mask call. And I would be upset too if you're Vontaze, but you got to understand you have to keep your composure. Getting another 15 yards tacked on is just a killer.
Marisic looking for his 2nd rushing touchdown and gets it. Into the zone goes Owen Marisic. And the Sun Devils pay the price for that unsportsmanlike conduct call and the flag against Vontaze Burfict for what the officials thought was a face mask penalty. Instead, Stanford takes the lead with 5:14 to go here in the 4th quarter. You just write a script, a different script every week for this Sun Devil team.
Every week it's the same exact thing for this team. I understand, Vontaze. You're upset. You know you didn't face mask the guy, but really you can't let your emotions get control of you time and time again. That is just a killer.
Whitaker with the extra point. Remember, Weber missed his, or this would be a 3-point game instead of a 4-point lead for Stanford. 5:14 to go here in the 4th quarter. Marisic, 2nd rushing touchdown of the night. Adam, here was the reaction from Vontaze Burfict, which led to that unsportsmanlike conduct call, getting a little abusive with the officials after the face mask penalty.
Yeah, he's upset right now, and it is for good reason. But Vontaze, come on now. It's tough to defend you if you consistently put your team in this kind of a positions. Football is an emotional game, and you can't let your emotions get the best of you. That, along with the holding earlier in that drive, led to Stanford's touchdown.
10 plays, 85 yards in over 5 minutes. Shoot off the clock. Bolden and Laquan Lewis both back to receive, and look at the kick from Whitaker out of the back of the end zone. And ASU will take over now at the 20-yard line. The intensity, the emotion of Vontaze Burfict.
He is an emotional, intense football player. And I know right now he is hurting inside. He doesn't want to hurt this team, but you have to gain control of yourself. It can't happen over and over and over again. Pretty soon people are going to stop making excuses for you, and then you're going to have to pay the consequences. I feel bad for the young man, but like Dennis Erickson said, he built that house, and now he has to live in it.
And being targeted not only by opponents, but sometimes maybe by the officials with that reputation. Stephen 3, over the middle. Falls incomplete. It was Jamal Miles who went airborne trying to make this catch.
They've been trying to get the ball into Jamal Miles' hands more and more as this season has gone on. He had his hands on the ball, but really just a great job of Owen Marisick breaking up that pass.
How about the play of Owen Marisick, the middle linebacker all the way down the field, shadowing Jamal Miles. And now you can see they're trying to console Vontaze Burfict. The emotions just pouring out along the sidelines. I really like what Omar Bolden and Laquan Lewis did when they came out to return the kick, too. They tried to incite the crowd. Keep ASU positive with their fans, and down goes Stephen Threet, thrown down by Shane Scove.
You tend to wonder if ASU has been deflated. They gave Stanford their best shot for the entire football game, and then let them come back into the game, take control, get back on top, and ASU offense, they just look flat. You hope that they still have the fight, that they don't give up on this game, and they continue to give Stanford everything that they can handle.
Scove fired up, Mohawk and all. A big stop for Stanford. Terrell makes the fair catch at the 45-yard line. You're right, the air just seems to be let out of Sun Devil Stadium after the penalty on Burfict and the touchdown by Marisick. ASU has beaten Stanford the last 4 times they've met here in Tempe. But right now, trailing by 4 here in the fourth quarter. An update on that Oregon-Cal game going on in Berkeley. The Ducks leading by only 2, 15-13, early in the fourth quarter.
And Cal is just a tale of 2 teams. They play outstanding at home. I'm not surprised one bit that they're giving Oregon all they can handle.
Now, you know Stanford would love to use the clock here on this possession. They give it to Taylor. Pickup of about 2 yards. For Stanford, if they win tonight, they would improve to 9-1. That would be their best start since 1951. That's 59 years. Had an assortment of injuries during the course of this game, going without Owusu, who didn't even suit up for Harbaugh. Of course, Jim Harbaugh, brother John, head coach of the Ravens, both ultra competitive and very, very successful. You look at the balance of power in the Pac-12 going forward. A lot of it will hinge on the decision by Andrew Luck, who is eligible for the 2011 NFL Draft, and the future of Jim Harbaugh. If he indeed will stay at Stanford, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest in him as a head coach, and it'll be 3rd down. Boy, would this be an important stop for the Arizona State defense.
This is the most important play in this entire game right now. The wind in the air has been deflated out of this ASU football team. Stanford just trying to grind it out, run some time off the clock. If ASU's defense can't find a way to get off the field on this 3rd down, then this game is over. They need to sack up, get everything they have, put into this one play, because this is the most important play in their season.
It'll be 3rd down. Tonight, Stanford is 9 of 17 on 3rd down conversions. After this, ASU has a couple more games left in the season. They will host UCLA in 2 weeks on senior night. And it is time for our Polaris hardest working player of the game. And all game long, it has been Vontaze Burfict. He has been a man defensively, leading the charge for ASU, holding Stanford's offense in check, but he couldn't hold himself in check when we went to this fourth quarter.
He really has. He has been intense, and he went into this game wanting to make an impact and wanting to make a difference, but the emotion can't get out of control.
Here we go, 3rd and 5. Empty backfield for Luck. Wings it, complete. Right at that 1st down marker. Wow, this is going to be really close. Inside of 3 minutes to go. They have it marked right at the 45-yard line, and they'll, I believe, bring out the chains.
Stanford likes to motion the tight end or running back out of the backfield all the way to the outside. That puts the mismatch. They want a wide receiver on a linebacker. They got the mismatch. Aaron Oliver did a great job in coverage, but Andrew Luck just able to fit the ball right where it needed to be.
Here is the all-important measurement. It will be a first down for Stanford by inches. Oh, my goodness.
Excellent conversion by Andrew Luck in this Stanford offense. Arizona State had that play covered perfectly, but once again, they just found a way to win that route. Extreme discipline, hard work, and now they're just trying to wear down Arizona State.
Mentioned they've had a lot of practice with the third downs. 18 tonight. Another test for the ASU defense. Can they get the ball back into the hands of Stephen Threet? They give us to Wilkerson. Breaks free to his left. Finally roped down at about the 38-yard line. They show the confidence in the true freshman, Wilkerson, in the backfield. And ASU will use another timeout, second of the half.
And this is what Dennis Erickson was talking about. Stanford is a football team that wants to just wear you down. And you saw Arizona State gave them all they could handle, went toe-to-toe with this football team. But in the fourth quarter, when they needed to grind it out behind that big offensive line and make the key plays, they have been able to do it. That's why they've been so successful under Jim Harbaugh. The perseverance to continue through the game and finish.
ASU now with just one more timeout remaining. Stanford with all three of theirs. 2.5 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Been a fascinating game. Each team scoring on a short rushing touchdown in the first quarter. There was no scoring in the second period when both quarterbacks coughed it up. They're tied at 7 at halftime.
And ASU is just going to get a steady diet of the same play. Power O off of the left side, and it's just man versus man.
Marisic, the lead blocker for Wilkerson, breaks another one inside the 30-yard line. They're going with Wilkerson instead of Stephon Taylor. And now ASU have to think about using their last timeout.
Getting their offensive lineman, pulling that big left guard to the outside. And right now, Arizona State is just getting outmatched. Literally, they have given up. The fight has left the Arizona State defense. They gave it the best shot, everything they could, but that last scoring drive for Stanford was just deflating. That was the nail in the coffin, and I think it's over for the Devils in this game.
And we talked about Dennis Erickson, too. 28 years as the head coach, college and pro ranks, never being through a season like this. Although he said his first year at Washington State was close, but so very frustrating. So close. And it was our theme to start this evening, Adam.
So close, and we knew that they were going to come out and give it everything they had, and they did. They played a magnificent game. You can single out 4 or 5 plays in this game, just like you can in every game, that were the difference. They have to step up, get this Stanford offense off of the field right now. This is it. It's now or never for the Sun Devils.
It's so important for the Stanford runners to secure that ball, that being Wilkerson and Marisic. They'll give it back to Wilkerson. Big number 32 slides his way to the 23-yard line. And the clock will continue to run. Nothing ASU can do about it now. They're out of timeouts.
This just fits right into Stanford's game plan. They're not going to run any other formation or play the entire night. They're going to go power left. They're going to go power right. And they're going to try and just keep wearing down this Arizona State defense. This is the exact type of game that Stanford wants to play.
And it has been a magical season for Stanford so far, and a season that would give your head coach an ulcer. That's what it appears to be the case for Dennis Erickson and his ASU Sun Devils. I mentioned their final 2 games will begin with UCLA in 2 weeks, senior night here. And then they will finish up at Arizona as Stanford will call the timeout with a minute 38 to go on 2nd and 6. Meanwhile, you look ahead now, Adam, for Stanford. Cardinal will be at Cal and then host Oregon State. So the question is, can they run the table rest of the way?
Well, they can run the table. They were an excellent team, and outside of Oregon, the next giant in the Pac-10. But Cal plays extremely tough at home, as evidenced by their game right now versus Oregon. That's going to be a huge test for the Stanford Cardinals. But they came in this game, took Arizona State's best shot, and ended up finishing.
Hey, you talk about Cal, too, and how they manhandled ASU. The only real poor outing for the Devils this season. And we take a look at those Pac-10 standings. Stanford trying to move ahead to 6-1. Oregon
and hoping
in a
that
tight
Oregon
one right now
tonight.
with Cal. Exactly. 9:32 to go, and the Ducks still up only 2 in Berkeley. Second down. Power I. Just keep ramming it up the middle and giving it to Wilkerson. He breaks free, all alone, untouched. Oh, but he sits down. He's going to let the clock run. Sits down at the 4-yard line. How about that decision by the freshman?
How's that for Jim Harbaugh football? And that's what changing the culture does here at Stanford. It's all about discipline. The team comes before the individual, and another example. Now Stanford, of course, wearing down, huge blocks, sealing down that right side of Arizona State's defensive line, and it's all open field. They could have scored, but doing the right thing, the unselfish play, this is the epitome of what Jim Harbaugh coaches.
Wow, that really was shocking, though. The freshman knew what his head coach wanted. And now just whittle off the final seconds. USC, by the way, is leading Arizona 21-14 in the third quarter.
Arizona, another team, they were off to their best start since the early 90s this year, but November was a real tough portion of their schedule. You know, they ran into a buzzsaw last week versus Stanford, and now this game against USC, arguably one of the most talented skill position teams in the Pac-10. Arizona has a dogfight. They still have to play Oregon this year.
Luck takes a knee, and ASU now will fall to 4-6 overall, 2-5 in the Pac-10. And Devils now making a quick exit through the tunnel.
You see there, Vontez Burfict going through the tunnel. And I don't like to see this. I understand you're upset, and you had a tough series. And now a lot of people are going to put the blame on you for your decision to put your team in that type of a situation. But you can't let it get to you once again. You have to be the team player. Go out, congratulate, shake Stanford's hand, and then go in your locker room and try and learn from your mistakes. But don't be selfish like that and go to the locker room by yourself without being with your teammates and without congratulating the other team.
Show the sportsmanship that Jim Harbaugh and Stanford showed in the final minute when they sat down instead of taking the touchdown. So the Cardinal now 9-1 overall, 6-1 in the Pac-10. This 9-1 start, best in 59 years, going all the way back to 1951 for the Stanford Cardinal.
Jim Harbaugh just doing a great job. And that's what we got when we talked to him in our conversation this week, was that he did things the old-fashioned way. He worked his way up, paid his dues, took some jobs to learn how to be a coach, learn how to be a CEO. He could have taken the easy way out, but he is a great example on how to build a football team, how to build a championship football team, and his players believe in his way.
Adam, it's been a pleasure. That'll do it for us here from Sun Devils Stadium. Stanford wins at 17-13. For all your Sun Devils live post-game coverage, log on to FoxSportsArizona.com. Right now, tune in November 26th to see ASU battle the UCLA Bruins at 1:30. Coming up next, it's NHL hockey as the Coyotes take on the St. Louis Blues. For Adam Archuleta and Jody Jackson, I'm Tom Leander. So long, downtown Tempe.